Do you want to know why people get men in the manosphere wrong? Please stick around. Today, we're going to get into why people generally have a misconception about the manosphere. Ever since the rise of feminism, everyone has been educated in blue pill idealism, and the narrative is driven by woman's solipsism. As the red pill is becoming more mainstream, people start to confuse people who are active in the manosphere with those who are outside of it. For instance, Kevin Samuels. Although Kevin Samuels have associated himself with men in the manosphere, it doesn't mean that he's a true representative of men in this subculture. He just happened to have the same paradigm. This is in no way to diss Kevin Samuels, but to give clarification on the men who are active and the men who are non-active in the manosphere. Kevin Samuels stated that men of high value can cheat on a woman. Men in the manosphere generally don't promote cheating unless it's a consensual act. Anyways, let's get into the common reasons why people always get men in the manosphere wrong. The first reason why is because they're not well informed on what it is. A common misconception that people have about the red pill is that it's all theory. That actually contradicts what the red pill represents. A theory is defined as a supposition or a system of ideas intended to explain something, especially based on general principles, independent of the thing to be explained. The red pill is not a supposition nor an ideology. The red pill is essentially based on men's first-hand and second-hand experiences. It is described as an understanding of the true nature of a particular situation. In context, the systematic belief or ideology that opposes it is feminism. The red pill is an inclusive conglomeration of men's experiences with women. Although evolutionary psychology plays a central role in the red pill paradigm, it is still fundamentally based on men's personal account with women. Men come to the manosphere more often than not in a weary and confused state. Yes, there can be a certain bitterness that produces from taking the medicine. This is a side effect. However, this doesn't happen to everyone. I always mention that people stigmatize the manosphere as a collective group of men that are misogynistic and hostile. Since we live in a post-feminist world, anything that promotes inherent masculinity is seen as toxicity. The community overall is a healthy, positive, and pro-masculine environment. Unfortunately, some parts of it has jaded men, but the intent is wholesome. The red pill is essentially the fundamental nature and dynamic between men and women. Basically, how men and women interrelate with one another. People outside of the manosphere generally presume it as a nefarious cult that is all about radicalizing men into the far right. The manosphere is a men's online community that emphasizes on male-related issues, masculinity, and lifestyle. The mainstream oftentimes associate the online community with the alt-right because they feel somewhat threatened by it. Another thing is that they take its idioms too literally. For example, the wall. The wall generally means that a woman beyond the age of 35 are least likely to make an optimal choice based on hypergamy due to the decline of her sexual fertility. If she'd already conceived a child or children in her adolescenthood or her early adulthood, this can affect her mating value in terms of marriageability. This really applies to men of a higher tier if a woman seeks out a monogamy-oriented marriage. Those outside of the manosphere may conclude that the wall is a woman's inability to attract a man beyond the age of 30. This is ultimately a fallacy. There are women that get married beyond that age and can still conceive a child. This is a binary extreme. Another one is alpha fucks and beta bucks. People outside of the manosphere and even members inside of it apply this to the 80-20 rule. Some people believe that 80% of women are sleeping with the top 20% of men. This is inaccurate due to the fact that it's Pareto's principle. There are higher tier men and there are lower tier men, but for this idiom, it doesn't have to apply. Anyone who spent any considerable time in the manosphere can tell you that difference. Another reason why people get men in the manosphere wrong is because the manosphere generally use a different set of semantics. This is to piggyback off the idioms I've just mentioned. Many people apply the red pill to different genres such as politics, religion, and other subcultures. The red pill is often used as a metaphor in each manospheric subcommunity to denote the reality of the male and female dynamic. People also tend to misunderstand the concepts of alpha and beta. The concepts of the alpha male and the beta male derive from ethology. Most men are somewhere in the middle of that spectrum. Alpha generally represents men that are conventionally masculine and sexually appealing in Red Pill literature. In the common world, this archetype is commonly associated with bad boys, players, real men, and bachelors. This can also apply to some jocks as well. Beta generally represents men who are more effeminate and unassertive. This archetype is commonly associated with men that are considered mediocre to women within the romantic or sexual context, such as male platonic friends, male orbiters, and nice guys. The main thing that separates alpha males from beta males is masculinity. Just because a man is of high status doesn't make him a true alpha male. Although preselection is a strong symbol of an alpha, alpha is more of an energy, an attitude, and a set of behaviors. A man can appear to be alpha and still have a weak emotional core and a weak mind. Alphaness can be demonstrated through your appearances, such as your muscles, your fashion, and your overall physical attractiveness. However, it's also very important to have the confidence and the charisma of the alpha male. Seductiveness is at the heart of the alpha in the Red Pill paradigm. Another one that people often get confused is hypergamy. Hypergamy exemplifies women's sexual duplicity and strategies they employ throughout various phases in their lives within the Red Pill context. Hypergamy in a general sense means to marry up, to become a union with someone with a higher socioeconomic status. In Red Pill literature, it has been expanded to evolutionary psychology. Evolutionary psychology has been challenged on the grounds of being considered a natural science due to its postulations and conclusions. However, it is not considered false due to the lack of empirical evidence. Evolutionary psychology is still a relatively new field of study and is still developing in so many ways. People outside of the manosphere believe that hypergamy is a matter of predeterminism. This is false due to various conditions. Just because all women are hardwired to be hypergamous doesn't mean that all women can leverage an optimal choice or will take the opportunity. Other variables come into play, such as their upbringing, their self-esteem, their age, the dynamic of a relationship, femininity, and other sets of skills. So hypergamy is something a woman can harness if she values the relationship she's in. They won't take the opportunity unless something prompts them to. If a woman sees a man as a beta male, the odd chances of her cheating are very high. My estimate is that a little more than half of the men in the manosphere comes from the hard knocks. It's a lot of valuable truths we can learn from them, while still being open to receive other information in life. Until then, next time.